Josh Gad is set to star and produce, I think maybe even write, a sequel to Spaceballs, the Mel Brooks movie from the 80s, Mike. And Amazon MGM is doing this. Josh Gad and Mel Brooks, who is still alive as of this publishing, are producers on this show. And they've always talked about jokes such as Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money, or Mel Brooks said in, like, I think early 2000s, you know, we're going to do Spaceballs 3, The Search for Spaceballs 2 kind of thing.
They got to do something funny with it, right? I mean, the title is going to probably set the tone for the movie. I mean, what did he do recently? Was it The History of the World Part 2?
Part 2, Part 1 was a movie, I think 80s, 90s, and Part 2 was a TV series on Hulu, which was more of a sketch kind of thing.
Yeah, I never really looked into it, so I don't know if there is success with him going back to old properties and kind of creating long-awaited sequels or not. But, I mean, the parody here is absolutely ripe. So much has happened since the first Spaceballs. I mean, there's a million different directions that
there's a lot of sci-fi movies. Like, it's not just Star Wars. A lot of people are like, oh, it's just Star Wars. It's not Star Wars. There's Alien. There's Predator. There's, you know, obviously there's Dune right now, right? Any sci-fi, Blade Runner, any sci-fi property they could skewer in a Spaceballs too, pretty easily.
Yeah. Now, if I was a betting man, I would bet the movie's bad. I mean, just every instinct of my body is just like, yeah, don't make this. It's not going to be good. What's the point? But there's another real side of me that's like, oh, I hope this is good. I liked Spaceballs growing up. Yeah. It was funny watching somebody make fun of something that I really, really liked, like Star Wars, because, you know, it's kind of like imitation is the best form of flattery, but also kind of mixed in with like a roast, like, oh, we're roasting you because we like you type of thing. But I don't know. Maybe this whole thing is way too far in the past. Like we were talking at the top of the show. What were we talking about? I gotta look through my show notes here to try to remember what my point was here. But I mean, Spaceballs has already been done. And it was kind of like a straightforward parody, right? But so much has transpired since then that I feel like if you're going to kind of skewer the current state of sci-fi Star Wars movies, like you got to have like a very unique kind of tooth to it, right? Yeah. Because it's not going to be as simple of a formula anymore, I think is what I'm trying to point at.
Right. Well, and I think, you know, Mel Brooks, he had a string of films that skewered stuff, right? Like Blazing Saddles, Spaceballs, Robin Hood Men in Tights, you know, Young Frankenstein even, right? But he had, like, I would say, and I hate to say this, but because a lot of comedians say humor was different back then. What you could do in a movie was very different. Obviously, Mel Brooks always played like I don't think it was a person's life, but like a very misogynistic, you know, woman-obsessed kind of person in his films. Or, you know, they would, you know, make fun of things you wouldn't make fun of anymore, or say things you really couldn't say in a movie anymore. But so I'm interested to see how they pull back. But knowing, again, Josh Gad, who got to start doing Book of Mormon, right, as one of the characters, and then doing a lot of comedy and stuff, I think he has the ability to do some funny things with this. I'm expecting a mediocre film at best. Hopefully it's funny. Like, again, there is Star Wars, the idea of streaming. I know Spaceballs touched the idea of VHS back home, where you could watch the movie in real time, kind of thing. The scene like that, but also what I loved about it is the act, like Rick Moranis as Dark Helmet. Like he sold it so well. So that you gotta have a really good set of actors to kind of sell this. So I go both ways. I was looking up. Do you remember 22? There was a anime movie called Paws of Fury: The Legend of Hank. That Michael Cera voicing a dog?
Yes.
So that is a Mel Brooks movie. He produced it with the same producers who did Blazing Saddles. That movie is an animated kids version of Blazing Saddles. And it's wild how much of the same things are in that movie at the end of the day. So I think, you know, Mel Brooks, he's up there in age. He is currently 97 years old, Mike. So I don't know how much he's going to really be putting into this at the end of the day, but he did do, like you said, History of the World Part 2 last year, so we'll kind of see how this plays out. I'm excited. I like Spaceballs.
We're hoping for the best, obviously. Yeah. I'm just saying, if I was a betting man, there's a very clear place I would put my money.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you would be dumb not to say this does not have anything in its favor. Like, it does have a couple things, but it's going to be a long shot. But again, we've been surprised by less at the end of the day. But that's the show. I thought we'd have more notes over 2 weeks, but like I said, Calm Before the Storm, before Deadpool and Wolverine, before Comic-Con, 2025, all that stuff. But people know what you're up to.